Okay, I think we're now live. So, namaskar, dear friends. Glad to meet you again. I'm Medha Shri, editor-in-chief of OS.me, the most truthful and kindest corner on the internet. And today I have with me a very urgent, essential, and unique book, The Golden Book 2.0, Resurgence of India. And there can be nothing more exciting than discussing a good book with the author herself. So today, I have also the privilege of having author Raina Singhwi Jain with me on this Bhava Samvad episode of Kalinga Literary Festival. Welcome to the fest, dear Raina.
Thank you. Thank you, Medha.
Now, before we move forward and start this discussion, here is what I want to tell people and tell them that this book has been dubbed as essential and urgent for several reasons. And I just briefly say that the Golden Bird 2.0 draws upon India's rich past, takes a fresh look at her present, and presents the immense potential she holds for a glorious future. You know, everyone talks about the need for improvement in manufacturing, the ease of doing business, and of course, digital technology. You know, digital India, all these things have become very common in our conversation now. So Raina also does it in the book. However, along with these topics, she goes beyond and discusses why it's important to work on our process engineering, communication design, journalism, education, and all of that. And she presents this knowledge in the book absolutely clutter-free manner mein, and explains things like Atmanirbhar Bharat, Digital India, etc., very effectively. So, Rena, my first question to you: how and why did you decide to write the book?
So, Medha, having been into this business, I joined my father's business in 2008, Ramesh Flowers Private Limited, which is now owned by the Gala Group Germany. So, having worked in, having been into this business for so many years, and after having worked with so many vendors across Southeast Asia to source several components, we used to do so much of product development, and I've often wondered that, there were so many components that I would go hunting for, and I've often wondered that why can't we get this in India? I've handled procurement, and it would drive me crazy looking for components, and the exact thing that I would need would only be available in China, for example, or maybe some other country. So if I would succeed to find a vendor in India to get the same thing made, there was a huge possibility that the mold opening charges would be so high, or it would no more be cost effective for me to continue procurement in India. In rare cases where I've had the opportunity to get the few things made here, there were other issues that we had to deal with. So this kind of added to my frustration, because I know for a fact that this is not rocket science. These are simple components, and there is no reason why we would not be able to create the same or even better. And I saw a gap between the demand and the supply. And honestly, to tell you, I still see it in so many aspects even today. So that somewhere there's a missing link. And these thoughts have lived with me for many years now. And with the pandemic coming in, unemployment soaring, economy taking a hit, and then we had the border issues, and then came the announcement of the Atmanirbhar Bharat by our Honorable Prime Minister Shri Narendra Modi ji, which acted as a major catalyst. And I was discussing this with my father one day, and he's been my mentor like forever. And it was he who put it into my head that why don't you write? And this really got me thinking, because I realized that there was so much that I wanted to communicate to the youth of this country. I mean, the very environment that we are building for ourselves today will truly define the future of India. And this is really how the book came about.
Absolutely. You have had a diverse experience in terms of profession, in terms of the departments that you've worked with. So you understand all this very closely and practically. But besides that, Rena, you've also had an eclectic exposure growing up. You know, your parents are from Rajasthan. You were born in Pondicherry. Then you spent your childhood in Tuticorin. Then, you did your bachelor's and master's both from United Kingdom. Then you came back and worked in Hyderabad with Google. and now you're living in Bangalore with your
Bangalore.
family.
Yeah.
Yeah. So how much of that has shaped your thought process? And I know for you, diversity is a lifestyle because you've
Yeah.
grown up with it, you've
Yeah.
embraced it. You know India very well, international market very well, since you work with Gala's Maiva, right?
Yeah. The brand is Maiva. Yeah.
Maiva. So how much has that shaped your outlook on things?
I mean, I'm very thankful that I got this opportunity to work with Ramesh Flowers because it's really formed the foundation of everything that I do. Like my entire career foundation comes from there. And in the early years, having spent a lot of time in various departments, like I started off with compliance. And then I moved on to sales, and then now after so many years, and I have also been into production and procurement, and then now I run the brand Maiva for the company. So definitely, and coming from a business family, it's there's so much traveling, so you're traveling all the time, and we've always been the tag along with, like, with my parents, and both of them are working, and so the exposure has definitely been there, so I'm very thankful for that. And having looked at the different markets, and every year we have to go through this the market surveys, and to understand how the different trends work, what's happening in the UK, what's happening in the US, and then what's happening in India. Now for me specifically in the last 3 years, it's been a lot of that, studying the Indian market. So it's definitely given me a perspective, that really helped me when I was writing. Medha, I think I'm losing you. I'm not able to hear you.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay. So I was saying that, of course, you've had a lot of exposure to diversity in every sense of the word. Uh, and it reflects in the book as well, because you've picked up these diverse topics. All that they all, work towards making India a golden bird again. But there is a diversity in terms of topics also. So, I wanted to know, how did you pick up these various issues and aspects for the anthology?
Um, I wouldn't entirely call it an anthology, as most of the chapters are my thoughts on the growth trajectory of India. But yes, I did go through a process. It was a process, and I interviewed 20 people coming from different sectors like law, accountancy, manufacturing, regulatory compliance, MSME consultant, process engineers, etc. This was basically done to understand their thoughts on Atmanirbhar Bharat and how they are looking at it from their lens or their industry per se. Because when a campaign like this is launched, it's not necessary that 100% of the people would give a nod to it immediately or be happy with it or see benefits for themselves in it. So it was very important for me to know that in each of these sectors, on each of these segments, what is their take on this whole Atmanirbhar Bharat. And post these interviews and some crazy reading that I did, I was able to create a map on the paper. For me, these various topics that I have written on were the kind of pillars that needed attention for the nation to grow. And I'm a big believer of learning from the best. So when I studied the growth story of few other countries, I was able to draw a parallel and realize where exactly are we lagging behind. So I decided to break the various topics across different chapters. It was a little bit challenging to make these topics simpler to understand, so that even people from a non-economic or a non-political science background could also relate to what I've tried to communicate. So, and I've tried to pick out the most crucial topics such as education, IPR, decentralization, or digital India, environment, everything that actually forms the foundation of the growth story of a nation. Typically, if you see any success story, and uh, I truly believe that we have to have a holistic view of where we come from, where we are today, and where we aim to reach.
Absolutely. And like you said, one of the important discussions that started during the pandemic and lockdown, etc., was Atmanirbhar Bharat. And in the book, you very beautifully and simply explain on the subject. Now, what happens is, because it also came from a certain section of government.
Yeah.
Plus, it was a new concept for a lot of people. So there's a lot of confusion about the whole concept in a lot of sections. Okay, so for example, some people think that it means India is going to be isolating itself in a global economic scenario. So
Yeah.
could you demystify Atmanirbhar Bharat for us?
There's a lot that's being spoken and done around Atmanirbhar Bharat. So many news articles and so much happening on YouTube and everywhere. It seems to be like the latest thing. You're correct. I also agree with you. There are a lot of misconceptions around this campaign. Some of us think that Atmanirbhar means a complete boycott of all goods foreign. Some think it means total isolation and a complete protectionist strategy, that we do everything 100%. And some are still looking at it as some crazy financial dole outs by the government during the pandemic to save businesses and also help new ones sprout. So the real dynamics of this campaign is far, far more than what we are imagining it to be. The truth is that no country can be 100% self reliant. Even the largest manufacturers in the world have components for which they are dependent on other countries. So, if China is the largest manufacturer of mobile phones, it does not essentially mean that all components used to produce that mobile phone are made in China. They are largely dependent on other countries for imports. And this is primarily because maybe some country has abundance of a certain natural resource, or some products need a certain geographical climate for production, or a particular situation to thrive in. Maybe some country has been manufacturing that particular component for several years now and does significant volumes, because of which they are extremely cost effective. So the more I read, the more I feel that our energies and focus are moving in the wrong direction. We're not really channelizing our energies towards what is really needed. And this is why I wanted to pen down my thoughts and validate them with facts and figures, especially for the youth of this country. Our Prime Minister said, make in India and make for the world. So the more we export, we boost the economy of our country. We make other countries dependent on us. So when we have products to offer to the world, which is very India specific, we can create a monopoly. I can give you some examples. With the NEP rollout this year, for example, the government of India has invited the best of universities to come and create a base in India. When big brands come and open their stores in India, it's a good thing. So Atmanirbhar does not mean we do everything ourselves 100%. The whole idea here is to reduce dependencies wherever possible, create employment opportunities for our people. Go vocal for local, definitely go vocal for local, and pull up the micro entrepreneurs who are struggling to create a base for themselves in India. So the priority needs to be shifted, and that would really be the first step.
Absolutely. And, you very nicely explained it to us right now and as well in the book in depth. Atmanirbhar also means that we depend on on our own products, and also to dispel all the confusion. I think the next Nara that came was vocal for local and made for India, but for the world. So that means we make the world use our products. We
Yes,
invite them right. Absolutely.
yes,
And but that also means that our products have to be genuine. We have to have patents for those, so that if people, there are a lot of countries who just copy products and then benefit from it.
yeah.
So, and I am moving towards another important aspect that you discussed in the book, which is about IPR. And just to read from the book, I'd quote you here. As per the Intellectual Property Rights Report released by the government for the period of 2018 and 19, only 3,050 something applications for
150,000.
IPR were
Yeah,
filed, while in the same period in China, it was
yeah,
about 1.54 million patent applications that they, sort of
yeah.
indulged. So, why is the number of patents so low in India?
So I first of all, let's for people who are watching this, I think I would like to just explain what IPR is, so that for those of them who have a little bit of confusion around this. So I truly believe that protecting one's creation, when you create something, you should
Right.
protect it, retain it, and you must retain its uniqueness. And it's very important to safeguard the value of your inventions and innovations, because this somewhere goes a very long way in nation building. So when we look around today, when you look around, there's so much progress we see. If you take technology, you have big data, you have artificial intelligence, nanotechnology, neuroscience, biogenetics. So much is happening, and now what's happening is more attention is being paid to how each country is performing in terms of these research breakthroughs, and which country is creating how many novel products on an annual basis. And this is precisely measured by the number of patents, copyrights, or trademarks, which all come under the intellectual property rights. So, like you said, the fact that you quoted from my book, the Government of India, we have a website where it's open to all information. You can log in anytime and see how we've fared in the IPR space. And as per the intellectual property rights report released by the Government of India, this was for the period 2018-2019. I think that's what I quoted in the book. There was a total of 350,000 intellectual property applications that were filed. And China, in the same period, filed around 1.54 million applications. So yes, there is a low filing rate in India, and one of the major reasons, this is as per my research, the amount of reading that I have done and what I've understood, is that one of the major reasons is attributed to the fact that there is a lack of awareness. So there was a study conducted by Infogel, an international patent and market research company, and this research was done in 2018. And as per their study, 35% of teachers, students, managers, and scholars across 200 institutions, educational institutions in India, were not aware of IPRs at all. So they had no clue what it is. So this lack of awareness, I feel, has been a very big gap in bridging, and we need to bridge this desperately. And also, there are certain other misconceptions which I would like to clear with regards to IPRs. Some feel it's a very expensive process, it might not be worth it. Some have brilliant ideas, but they don't have the vision that my idea can be worth taking an IPR. It's like, no, like, I don't think this is worth, so you don't even go and explore that avenue. And I
Right.
think we have a lot of work to be done to improve this scenario. And the other thing, because we're talking about China over here, and I really, the title of my chapter is Intellectual Property Rights Burst the Bubble, because um, the question that we need to also ask is that not only why our filing rate is so low, why is China's filing rate so high? And their government issued subsidies to companies, for filing IPRs, and companies started filing IPRs left, right, and center. We must note here that not every IPR that is filed goes through to getting a patent. I mean, it's a process. So you can file as many as you would like,
Mhm.
but the important number to see here is how many have really converted.
Absolutely. But also tell me, you said that it's not a very expensive process. And but how tedious is it? Is it very tedious? Is it a Herculean task to file to ask for a patent to file IPR?
It takes time, Medha. It's a process. And I would not say it's not expensive. It is an investment, but you have to treat it as an investment. Just like how we invest in jewelry or, like assets, we feel this is also an asset. Like, this is something that's going to give you financial benefits over a period of time. You cannot hold an IPR. As far as patents are concerned, you will not get a lifelong one. Like, I don't think like it ends in like 10 years or something like that. But at least for those years, you have your monopoly and you can reap financial benefits. So you have to really look at it as an investment into like an asset. So that's precisely what it is. But if you see in India, I think, no, I think, for example, I wrote this book, and as simple as that, I had to apply for a copyright, which is
Right.
also an IPR. And it was fairly a simple process. I had to just write to the lawyers and they just got it done. And my copyright has already come in just a span of 2 months. It was not tedious at all. I mean, if you know the route, and we have so much of information online. I mean, like everybody has a tutorial these days. So
I know.
one can just go online, and it's not tough at all.
Absolutely. I totally agree with you that everything is now available online. We can, in
Yeah.
fact, educate ourselves through
Yes.
online schools and YouTube videos and, in fact, social
Yes.
platforms as well. And that is where going digital really helps.
Yes.
And it got a hike, it got an impetus, it got really into the mainstream during the lockdown, because everybody started working from home and we are not allowed to go out because of the
Yeah.
lockdown. Plus now there are these online portals, e-commerce, etc., etc. And digital India is one of the things that the government wants us to really improve upon. And in fact, today Narendra Modi has also, I think, announced a package to bolster our Wi-Fi capabilities, etc., etc. Now, from you, since you've done this amazing Herculean research on the matter, how can we, harness the power of digital?
I think the one good thing that this pandemic has given us is that it has forcefully pushed us into the digital sphere in a very large way. And this has definitely been an acceleration in the growth of citizens hopping onto the digital train. One of the biggest developments that I see that I was reading about recently is the gig economy of India. And this has seen phenomenal growth. All the short term contract and the freelance jobs that people have been taking, working at home, and being like the back office for the world, especially the millennials, today's millennials, who are now also preferring this to like full time employment because there's so much of convenience working from home. uh,
Also, I think it opens a lot of avenues for women, because then you have
yes,
remote
yes,
offices, so you can take care of your kids, you can take care of
absolutely,
home. And because now we live in nuclear families, so where do you leave the kids?
absolutely, absolutely.
Working from home, so it opens up those many avenues for everyone.
Yes, absolutely. I completely agree. And it's very interesting to see the numbers. India has a 24% market share of the online labor market globally. And
Okay.
this is as per FICCI, a report released by FICCI. And this is going to bring a revolution in the coming years. And with over like 400 million millennials being attracted to the gig economy, because it just offers them an alternative employment arrangement, just like what you said, especially women. The work life balance, the flexibility of being able to do one's work from home, being spared the monotony of having the same job profile and like for decades. So we are seeing like a major shift in this space, and it's just becoming the preferred way of living. So it is, what is very important to know here, and this is something like a message that I've tried to pass in my book to especially the youth of this country, is that we must remember that India possesses the second largest population of internet users in the world, and China is larger, but it is also shut off from most foreign companies because of its censorship policies. So Google is banned, Facebook is banned. So as a result, India finds itself as the biggest market, for online services in the world. So we are already a contributor. However, there's a lot more that we can do. And Atmanirbhar Bharat uh, symbolizes a self-reliant India. And with Digital India, the first aim for each of us should be Atmanirbhar. So basically, just self-learning. Like, I mean, if you ask me how can we harness this, I would just say that to begin with, there's like this gap. There are like these sources, like there's so much available, and then there are people who don't know how to go about it. So
Okay.
that gap needs to be bridged, and self learning is going to go a long way in tackling so many of the economic issues like unemployment. There is so much material available for free online. We must leverage on this, and today you can be coached for free online to set up your business, whatever you want to do. I mean, like, you just need to get there, and you need to find a right mentor. And I truly feel if there's any time to do this, it's now.
Absolutely. I know pandemic has been very hard on people, on the world, on economies, etc. But it has had several positive aspects to it as well. And one
Yeah.
of them is obviously going digital and realizing that remote offices also work and they work really well. And the economy has gone global truly because see, like I work with the US office sitting in Delhi. I'm talking to you sitting in Delhi, you are in some other part of the country, and we're having this chat.
Yes.
So that's definitely there. But there, like you rightly said, there is a lot of gap in the available resources, and then people who are equipped to use or access those resources. So would you have some tips for us or the government as to how we can fill that gap up or the void that lies in there?
With respect to digital India, yeah. Um, Actually, if this the bridging of this gap is not going to be very tough going forward, because there are a lot of people who are already shifting digital, like everybody down the line, whether it is like, whoever it is, like from various categories of life. Everybody owns a phone today, everybody has access to the internet. I mean, they're so well informed. The WhatsApp messages that uh, circulate are on everyone's phones. So getting to getting an information to a particular person, I don't think it's a challenge today. I mean, even if you go to the unorganized sector of India, which is like the major part of India, even in the unorganized sector of India, people are very well informed with respect to the communication that they can receive on their phone. There is a medium. So that actually breaks in a huge barrier. But from there, to get them to believe that, that if you're a micro entrepreneur, you want to start something like this is how, or to give you the confidence, definitely there needs to be mentoring. I think mentoring is something which we really lag behind. And there are institutions, so you have like organizations like CII, so who are doing a great job. I mean, they have these forums, they have so many sessions where you can, sign up. But even for you to know that, oh, is there a space where I can go and sign up and learn, that somewhere feels like there is a gap. So one message that I would like to give to the youth of this country, or like established businessmen or entrepreneurs: charity is not always monetary. I mean, you don't have to always do charity by giving money. If you're good at something, I mean, if you excel in something, take out that 1 hour a week to just mentor somebody who, you can like just share your best practices, and somebody who can just sign up with you, like just give that 1 hour where you can impart your knowledge, because you are so good at doing something, and we have to create that chain. So this is another dimension of charity, and I'm actually coming out with a series called Atmanirbhar Bharat and You. It's going to come out soon on my YouTube channel, and it's a series of 10 videos. And what this is exactly what I'm talking about. It's Atmanirbhar Bharat and You. So how can you, just sitting at home behind your desk, be a part of the Atmanirbhar Bharat campaign? And one of the topics that I talk about is this, that how we need to build the whole system, the ecosystem around mentoring, and help and pull up uh, our people, so that we can really define this growth trajectory for India.
Raina, you just mentioned about your YouTube channel as well.
Yeah.
So would you like to talk a little about that?
Yeah, sure. So basically, this was not something that was planned earlier. After I wrote the book, and there were so many people who wrote to me and said that, you do so many sessions and stuff. Like, why don't you have messages for, like, why don't you? What does this have for us? Like, okay, you've written this. There's so much for the government, and there's so much, but there is a mental block that, like, okay, I'll give you an example. Okay, today we sitting at home, even for our own health and fitness, okay, like to take care of our own bodies, it's like, yeah, okay, I'll go for a walk, yeah, okay, I'll go to the gym. It's lot of effort to take care of ourselves. We are
Absolutely.
talking about taking care of the nation. Like, it sounds very patriotic and very nice, but when it comes to an individual, it always becomes like, yeah, I want to do it, and it sounds great, I want to do it, but how do I do it? I mean, what. So my the whole series stems out from this thought process, and what I've tried to do is they're very short videos, and I've tried to give like tips, tricks on how you can like on a daily basis start inculcating things, and you will be an active participant to Atmanirbhar Bharat. You will be proud to say that okay, I am I am an effective ingredient to this entire formula to make my country a great country in the next 10-15 years to come. We need to realize that whatever we do today, we're not going to see the impact next year or next to next year. The what we're going to do today, we're going to see this impact 10 years down the
And
line. So when we
so,
begin the culture now,
so
so
talking of
that's, yeah,
So
sorry.
I'm sorry, you just complete. I was just talking about. I just got excited to learn a few doable tips from you. So
Yeah.
viewers and I myself would like some practical tips from you, some actions that we can take right away to set India on this path of resurgence and also to improve our own lives.
I can give you a few, like something very, very basic. Okay, we do so much online shopping, and when we buy something from an Indian brand, and maybe you've not had a good experience, and sometimes because I run the brand Maiva, and thankfully we have some very, very good, like we've had a very good base of customers. But there is always this percentage of customers, or something may have gone wrong somewhere. Maybe it's not us, maybe it's during the transit, like maybe the courier services got late. We don't own the courier services, but you have to rely on third party services at times. Or maybe sometimes out of 1,000 orders, maybe in 4 or 5 orders, maybe there has been some flaw, or like maybe something has come off or something. So I have realized over the years that we've had customers who've written to us that, what, we've had such a horrible experience. We're never shopping from you again, with you again. So this is a message that it's a very simple thing. I think if you're buying, shopping something from an Indian brand, and we're talking about going vocal for local, I think what is very important is to evaluate the brand's response on how they've taken care of your issue and give them a second chance. It's
Absolutely,
it,
absolutely.
it's okay that things can go wrong, but these days every brand is refunding your money. They're sending you replacements. So if your brand has responded well, give them a second chance and go back to them, and that's how the whole ecosystem will build. So
Yes.
that's one very simple thing that I can say.
Things we can do right away. That's absolutely doable. And for all of us, as customer, I can definitely tell you that yes, sometimes because there's so many options also, Raina. So I
Yeah,
feel that okay, if this did not work out according to my whims and fancies, I'll
yeah,
probably switch my service provider.
yeah,
And then you write a nasty mail maybe without realizing that you're
yeah,
not sending it to a robot, you're sending it
yes,
to a real person. So as
yes,
customers, probably that much we can definitely do, that
yes,
we realize that we're not talking to a computer, we're talking to a person. When
yes,
we write a mail or a response, keeping that in mind, it'll definitely change the way we communicate.
yes.
But,
And I would like to say one more thing. We always find it very difficult to adapt to any kind of change. We all want to see changes. We want the government to do so well that India progresses in every sphere. But when it comes to our personal contribution, it becomes another task to do. So tell
yeah,
me, do you think that it's ever possible for any country to achieve anything without public will?
absolutely.
It's impossible until and unless the citizens of this country don't shoulder responsibilities and take the onus. There is no way we're going to see progress. And so the first and foremost thing also here is to bring a paradigm shift in our mindsets. That's something that I've really written a lot also in my book about, that we truly need to begin there. And this mindset change will definitely go a very, very long way.
Absolutely, and this mindset shift will not only benefit the nation; it'll also benefit ourselves, the
Yes.
individuals, the persons. Because
Yes.
if you want to improve your life, then you have
Yes.
to improve the way you think and you adapt to things.
Yes.
Absolutely. Now, talking of which, I would just remind our viewers that this book is available on Amazon. You can see the link below there. at the ticker. And we will also be taking some questions, compliments, comments, whatever you have for us. You can leave them down there. We'll pick them up one by one. Meanwhile, I would ask you, Raina, lockdown and pandemic and work from home and all those things have taught all of us a lot of things. So, one of the things that, besides the book, of course, this book was written during the lockdown. I quite know about that. But besides that, what is that another thing that really, changed your life, or a new experience that you embraced during this period?
Um, Medha, I felt it is important to lay the context for every reader to realize that India and China began their growth story under the same circumstances. It was a very big factor for me that we have to look, we're looking up to a country who we say they've done so well. I mean, we need to know where what our history is. And that was like a burning thing that I really wanted to talk about it. And we often forget that we belong to a land of stalwarts and we always undermine our potential. I don't know why, but
I
there is.
I totally agree with you there. We have this sort of inferiority complex of our
Yes,
own
yes,
culture and past. So,
yes,
for example, yoga, until very recently, we did not talk about it.
yes,
We wanted to go to the gym. Anybody who said, "Oh, I do yoga," that person looked like somebody in dhoti, or,
yes,
like
yes,
Okay. But the moment Americans and maybe other foreigners started talking about how yoga is beneficial
yeah,
and they embraced it,
yeah,
everybody is now doing yoga. Yoga has
yeah,
become cooler than going to the gym.
yeah.
So, what do you think led to, to this kind of thinking? Where
That
Indians do
that's
right.
exactly where even I am like, it disappoints me at times and it's very overwhelming because to see where we come from, look at our ancient past. I mean, it's incredible the kind of reading I did. It blew my mind. This is something which I may have learned in history in school, but I mean, like this is like some facts and figures that I went through. I was like, is this India? Like, I mean, is this country? I mean, like, wow. So I've written about Angus Madison's work, who was a renowned economist back then, who used to do economic metrics for bygone eras. And as per his report, India has held more than a quarter of the market share at one point in time when it comes to trade. It's something unfathomable today. And if we come from a rich past like that, those were also Indians. We are also Indians. It runs in the blood. So somewhere like this yoga example that you gave me is brilliant. I mean, we don't have faith. We
Ah,
need to build that faith in our people. We need to trust that. And okay, on the other side, we say that Indians are everywhere, right? Indians are Microsoft, Google, everywhere. Like you go to Seattle, you're gonna see only Indians, Indians, Indians. So I mean, so there is a gap. I mean, like, what's happening in India, and
absolutely.
so that's something which,
Understand what you're trying to say, that
yeah,
these innovations or these
yeah,
giant companies like Google and
yes,
Facebook and other places, or Microsoft, all these companies have Indians or people of Indian origin at the key positions.
yes, yes,
Yeah. And then what is it that checks us from doing that while we are staying in India? So people
yes,
go abroad, they do brilliantly well,
yeah,
and other countries take credit for those things that Indian or people of Indian origins create.
yes,
So what is it that really holds us back from achieving the same heights when you are in India? Is it just faith, or is it also infrastructure,
yes,
or is it also, how in India we're mostly thinking about growing up, studying well, just so you can get a good job?
yes,
While in other countries, they really value their genius people. The state takes care of a lot of things.
yes. It's definitely infrastructure. I would not say, and it's opportunities. I mean, like, when I went to the UK to study, I did my MSc in international business. Okay, I had a family business to join to. So I had that opportunity. But when I joined Google and stuff, I came from a similar mindset. I said, I don't know what opportunities would I have in India. Should I think of going, should I apply to jobs in the UK or US? Maybe I would get a better pay, my standard of living would be better. So that's precisely the point, right? I mean, like, we need to make this environment conducive so that the upcoming generations don't feel like that. And that's the whole point of the golden bird 2.0. If India used to be called Sone ki Chidiya, we need to work towards making it a Sone ki Chidiya again. We need to make that environment conducive so that our children and the upcoming generations don't feel that. I mean, in fact, we need to create an environment where people from other countries decide to come to India to complete their education or come to India for jobs. And that's the kind of environment we need to look at.
Absolutely. And like you said, I think faith is the key. If we have faith that,
Yeah,
like you came back from the United Kingdom and you thought, maybe I'll get a good job, maybe I'll not.
yeah,
But if you have faith that, and when you came back, you actually got a very good job. And now you
yeah,
have your family business and things like that. But a lot of people I know, when they go there, they feel that now when they go back, they might not get a suitable job. Although when
yes,
they come back, they do get really, really high paying and amazing jobs, because
mm,
India has a lot of opportunities. But
yeah.
at some level, besides infrastructure, I think we also lack faith in our own capabilities, in our own opportunities. That is there definitely. And talking of the book again, there is this chapter called "The Chinese Grid Outside of China."
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah, and now the entire world is talking about it, because it's very evident that China is everywhere. It has seeped into businesses, and there was this report where they talked about how in the UK key positions in media, businesses, etc., are now owned or held by Chinese. So shed some light on that aspect, please.
So, many of my chapters in the beginning of my book talk a lot about China because I did a lot of study on how the country has progressed. Because what was very important for me to see was that if we started off together around the 1950s, then what really happened? I mean, like, how did they go like to where
Skyrocketed.
they are today, and what happened? What really happened? So that's why one of the chapters talk about the parallel growth histories, the parallel beginnings, and then while I was reading, I realized the different things that they have done, um, and their strategy continues on until date, which no other country is doing. So it was very interesting, and that's why I wrote this chapter, Chinese Grid Outside of China. Um, they have this, first of all, they are very sound with their censorship with respect to the kind of things that's happening within the country, and you would not really know what's really happening. It's a very thick boundary that they've created for themselves. So also what you're reading and what you're seeing is something probably what they want you to see or what they want you to hear. It's very, very protected. um, the kind of strategies they have now, you look at the Belt and Road Initiative, they're trying to, they've put so many, they like, so many countries are now in debt because of the money that they've invested into Bangladesh, Sri Lanka, the other countries. And now they invested into the, for example, the Hambantota port in Sri Lanka, huge money, but the countries cannot really repay it back, and that's a debt trap, and everybody is talking about it now. So the whole idea, I feel, from where, so this is my view, this is not something that I've picked up from anywhere, this is my personal view. What I feel is that what they're really trying to do is, it's like this feudal monarchy kind of a thing, the modern age feudal monarchy. Like, they
Neo-colonialism.
really want to spread, yeah, they really want to get increase their power even outside the boundaries of their country. And that's something which they've been very, very strategic about since many years now.
Absolutely.
Yes,
So we are talking about it now because we can clearly see, we as in the
yes,
world can clearly see the impact of the strategic
yes,
efforts on their part to get a country's economy under them, and in a way,
yes,
indirectly rule the country. That
yes,
is there. And it's sad because in our own country. We do not trust our nation. We do not really celebrate nationalism. And while in China, I think Chinese have a lot of faith in their government. That is, I
We don't know. We don't know that.
yeah,
We don't know that for sure. But yeah, it looks like we are a democracy. It makes a lot of difference when you have like a communist kind of a government, and it there is a lot of, we have our own perks being a democratic country. I mean, like, we have so much of freedom to do so many things. Comes with its own pros and cons, but yeah, I mean, there are research studies which say that the people really believe in their government and they really follow them. There are reports, but there are also reports which say that no. So we really don't know.
absolutely.
But all said and done, the ultimate result is what we need to. I mean, we need to, for us, it's not to like downgrade any country or anything, not at all. It's just to learn. If there's something good that they've done, we should learn. Whether it's China, whether it's South Korea, whether it's the US, Japan, we need to take the learnings from the countries, that what can we learn. Like, if there is a success story, we should pick up and then create our own success story as to how we can go about it.
Okay, so Raina, here we have a few questions. The first one
Okay.
is Aditya Bharat. He says, "Okay, so thoughtful. Thank you so much, ma'am, for this wonderful conversation. What is your thought process to development of skill-based education, especially at grassroots levels?"
um So I think we should be very proud of the fact that the NEP got rolled out this year. After so many years, there was a revolution in the national education policy this year, and it's good that they have done something around the skill development. They have added, I think, 10 days that would be dedicated to skill development. But having said that, I think there's a lot that needs to be done when it comes to skill development, skill, our ITIs. Um, there is again a gap with respect to the quality of skill development. So if you talk to entrepreneurs, if you talk to industries, and I did a couple of interviews, and honestly, in their interview, what they had to tell me was like, look, we take people from the ITIs, but we have to train them all over again, because uh, that it's not the quality of the training imparted is not so apt that we just take them and we just begin our work. So we have a lot of work that needs to be done, but hopefully with the NEP coming out, we'll have to see, how this really, what is really important here is that students at a very young age get, accustomed to this whole concept of skill development. So it has to be a very integral part of the curricula back in school. That's very, very important.
Okay, since you've studied in the UK and also you run a country in India, and you studied in India as well, or you're at least aware of the
Yeah.
education system in India, do you think there's a huge gap in terms of how uh, other countries train their kids in terms of skill development vis-a-vis Indian education system?
So, Medha, I had gone to the UK for my postgrad. So it would be very difficult for me to compare schooling, because I've not done my schooling outside. Um, when it comes to education, like, I came from my school was an ICSE board, and I think it was brilliant. My teachers were great, and very, very good quality education. And but when it came to skill development, we used to have like this one period a week to do, like, something additional, yeah. But I just feel that that needs more emphasis. Like, it's not all education, we need more of that. That one period a day for us, a week used to be like a fun, we used to look forward to it, because, oh, no padhai, it's like, okay, we're doing something fun. But I think a little more emphasis on what schools can do, to regenerate. I mean, even as schools, what's wrong in sending students for mini internships, send them to like different workspaces, or get people, trainers, to come to schools and do workshops where you're really taught. Today, we like carpentry, woodwork, painting, like, it's become like one, like a niche. But this is something that it should be a part of us. Like, you should do a part of all this, whether it's pottery, whether it is woodwork or whatever. So we need to really hone our skills when it comes to skill development.
Absolutely. Now, there's another question from Rashmi Ranjan. He says, how do you think India's economy is faring post COVID?
So, COVID has really done a lot of damage. We know that not only in India but across the world. I think economists and several commentators, analysts, they are still figuring it out with respect to the stats. Until the cycle is over, until we don't reach the end, we will not be able to look at, it's sometimes some of it is speculation, some of it is okay, we do have reports from the last few months in hand that this is a, so definitely it has impacted. When we say unemployment, you can't really directly blame the government saying that, look, unemployment has soared. It's a situation of companies that they had to lay off people, and it's primarily because of the pandemic. So we need to give this some time, for the cycle to set back in. But with respect to the kind of reports I'm reading with FDIs and the kind of investments that are coming into India and stuff, it looks great. I mean, I think we will really bounce back really fast, and 2021 22 should be a very good year for us. I mean, yeah.
And I think also when we look at economies, we can't look at economies in isolation. So when you have
Yes.
to study the impact of COVID on economy, it can't be just Indian economy. You have to
Yes.
then do a relative study that it impacted Indian economy to this extent and other
Yes.
economies to that extent. I think
Yes.
it was an amazing, almost an hour of discussion with you, Raina. Thank you for giving your time. And before we wind up,
Yeah.
I want you to tell the readers why should we buy the book, which is actually available on Amazon, and people can just go buy it from there. But why?
So if you've been a viewer and if you've heard me and if you somewhere feel that yes, if I can contribute to the growth story of my country, and if I can do something for my country, then this book is for you. Because what I have done in the book is literally broken it down in different aspects. And when we talk about mindset, what is the space we need to be in, and what is more important for me to communicate is that you all of us need to know our ancient past, our present, and our journey ahead. So, if you feel that you want to be an active part of the Atmanirbhar Bharat campaign, you want to do something for the upcoming generations, then this book is for you.
Absolutely. So one can safely call it a self-help book for a nation building and personal growth, right, Raina? That is
Yes.
what I'll call it.
Yes.
And you've been very humble while talking about the book. I'd say that this is an urgent and essential book, and you don't have to be an economist, you don't have to be an IT expert, you don't have to be like a Nobel Prize winner to understand what is in the book. Raina has done a brilliant job of serving everything clutter free and in a very simple language. It'll appeal to you, it'll make sense to you, so please go buy it right away. And in fact, if you have school going kids around you, give it to them, because this is the time when they need to learn a lot about their country and about themselves through the country's past. And at the same time, this book goes beyond that and gives you tools to improve your life, to improve your economy, which will eventually, improve society and nation, etc., etc. But if you're very individualistic, even then, this book is a must for you. So thank you so much, Raina. Thank you so much, viewers.
Thank
Thank
you.
you everybody for
Thank
asking
you.
questions. And we will meet again. And
Yes.
Raina, thank you once again for writing this amazing, brilliant book.
Thank you so much, Medha. You were great. Thank you.